At ease, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Simon of Fortune. Today I'm going to be redoing an old video I did back in 2020, which was a review of a handful of Reproduction Garrison caps. Back then I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really edit the video at all. I just kind of put it all together. And I also didn't know as much as I do now. I'm not an expert by any means on Garrison caps, but I do know a lot more now than I used to. And also I have more caps to show you now than I did back then. Before we begin, I'd like to invite you to check out our Discord. If you want to see behind the scenes content, interact with me and other fans of the channel, then my Discord is the place to be, the official Simon of Fortune YouTube channel Discord server. The link is in the description below. Alright, let's get right into it. Alright, so first up, I have this Reproduction Military Police Garrison cap from K Canvas. It's pretty good. I got it a couple years ago. Shipped, I think it was $30 total, which interestingly enough, if you look at a price tag on a 1944 Garrison cap from a PX, it's about $2. And adjusted for inflation, that's about $30 today. So you would be paying the same price for this cap as you would back in 1944. So we can go ahead and try it on. It's okay. It's not the greatest hat ever. As you can see, the shade, it mostly matches. This is an original 1944 Ike jacket. You can see the shade mostly matches. This is a bit, the camera doesn't show it well. This one is a bit richer, like it's more brown than this is. Which this is olive drab shade 33, which is the shade that all of these caps should be in. Remember that for later. And here's an original. This is an M1950 Garrison cap, but it's all original. Original cap, original piping. If you see here, the piping on the Reproduction, the yellow is paler and the green is darker. So not the most accurate piping, and also it has a weird kind of off, like 2 1 1 1 2 1. It's not consistent. On the original, it's a consistent pattern. A lot of these more squared off caps, which people will call a paratrooper model, which isn't quite correct. They were popular among paratroopers, but they could be purchased by anybody. I think were modeled off of the M1950, which itself was modeled off of original period squared off caps. But I think the M1950 is a decent candidate to model off of because it looks great, looks the part, and it's the same shade as the World War II caps. So overall, this isn't too bad. It's not amazing. I would rather buy an M1950 cap than this, but if you can't find one in your size, then this is an okay option. This one down here is also from K Canvas. This is a infantry paratrooper. I actually got this from Man the Line, but it's manufactured by K Canvas. Now this matches a bit closer to the original. It's still pretty brown, but it's lighter, it's not as saturated, so it matches a lot closer than the MP cap I have. This one actually fits a little larger despite being the same size from the manufacturer, but it fits okay. Quality materials, it feels good. And here it is compared to an original World War II PX infantry cap. You can see the shade is a bit different. Shades even vary among originals. That's just wartime production. They'd accept whatever they could get their hands on. Now, the big problem I have with this cap is the piping. It's too light. If you compare it to the original cap, the original is darker And it's not just this one, I have this one as well. This one's even faded, but you can still see it's darker. And it's too shiny. It's almost reflective. It looks almost white on camera. So K canvas cap's not your worst option ever, but you know, you can still go up from there. Next I have a cap from Epic Militaria, another UK based company. This one is made of cotton, not wool. It has a leather sweatband and has lining inside. It's not silky, but it's lining. As you can see, it's pretty green compared to this. It's pretty green and pretty light. I think this is meant to match the World War II M37 wool shirts. However, Garrison caps were produced in the same shade as the jackets, which is olive drab 33. But if we try this on, it fits pretty good. The shape's pretty good. I like how it feels. In cotton, it's not as rough as the wool, but OD33 wool is the material of choice. If we compare it to the original, it's lighter, greener. The piping is closer in color than the K canvas color. It's not 100% perfect, but it doesn't have to be. And by the way, here's what the original looks like for comparison. This one's a bit lower profile. I think it looks pretty good as well. It's got a couple moth holes in it, but that's okay. I think this one was 20 bucks or so. Not the best option out there, but if you're looking for something budget friendly, I guess this would be okay. Moving on to At the Front. At the Front is one of my favorite companies. They are based out of Kentucky, and I live in Kentucky, so shipping's always pretty fast, and they have good products. However, I wouldn't call this their finest hour. This is their PX type infantry Garrison cap. As you can see, it's cut a bit weird. It almost kind of slopes up toward the front. When we try it on, it's very pointy, very triangular, which isn't super inaccurate, but like for example, I have this original cap here that's cut similarly. But it's not the traditional PX style that you might think of when you think of these Garrison caps. And as you can see, compared flat bottom, there is definitely an angle there. This is the olive drab shade 32 they used on the wool shirts and pants. Again, it's not the correct shade, it should be 33. However, this is a really good olive drab 32. Their shirts and their pants are very good reproductions, just their caps are not the correct shade. They used to make service coats. I don't know if they used the correct shade on that. But if we compare it to the originals, you can see it's too light. However, the infantry piping is pretty much spot on. They did a really good job on the infantry piping. I don't have any of their other piping colors, but I'm sure those look pretty good as well. I actually ordered just the piping for another one of my caps I have. I'm going to put it on this issue type. Which I guess brings us to our next cap, which is this issue type cap, also from At the Front. There's the inside. Now this isn't too bad of a reproduction. Well, I don't know. That looks pretty goofy. It almost looks like a World War I pattern. Without piping, it definitely looks a bit different. But this is the incorrect shade of wool, 32, should be 33. And here is an original cap with Air Corps piping. Now, something I kind of take issue with, there are wartime examples that look like this, but they're usually tailor-made, is this is an issued Garrison cap. It's got the proper spec label and everything with contract numbers. This is a contracted, issued cap. And as you can see, it starts shorter in the front and then raises up in the back and curves back down. It's sort of a wedge shape. If you put it on, you can see the crown comes up a lot taller than it does on this cap. And this is the correct issue type cap. And I have several examples of these that are all the same. Shorter in the front, taller in the back. But on this, it's sort of a circle. It starts short, goes up, and goes back down to the same height as on the front. Again, I wouldn't quite recommend buying at the front's caps just because the shade's wrong. But the material feels good, and it's the same material they use on their shirts and their pants, which are very good reproductions. I will recommend those. And one last cap we have to look at is another PX cap. This one is infantry. One last cap we have to look at, this is another PX cap, but this one is khaki color. I believe this one is also made by K Canvas, but I got this secondhand off eBay and the label's torn off. So I can't see a manufacturer on it. The khaki color is pretty close. This is an M1950. And as you can see, this one's a bit more saturated. However, this cap has been washed a few times and the color will bleed out. This is an original World War II PX example, and the color match is pretty close. Like I said, wartime examples, they can vary in color. The piping color, once again, is pretty good. It's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I think it looks pretty spot on. If we try it on, I think this is the size too small for me. But yeah. But if we try it on, it looks pretty good. Good shape. It's a size too small, but I'm sure if it was the correct size, it would feel pretty good. And I believe this one also follows the shape of the M1950, which I'm okay with. The M1950 is a great cap. So, what do I think are your best options for buying a Garrison cap? Honestly, I think your best bet is going to be originals or M1950s. If you're going for an early war, I would try to get the original one because it's what they would be issued. By default, this is what you would automatically receive upon your enlistment. If you want the more squared off type, I would go for the M1950. They're consistent and they're the correct shade of olive drab 33 for World War II. You could try to find an original World War II PX type, which they are harder to find in larger sizes. But if you can find one, you can see they look pretty good. This one's medical core. If you absolutely had to go for a reproduction, I think I would go for the K Canvas. You can always replace the piping with piping from at the front. I think the wool color is the closest to the olive drab 33. It's not 100% match, but wartime examples aren't 100% match either. But it matches pretty close. This was a pretty good value, I think. Like I said, about $30 all told. But all in all, if you're looking for a PX type, I think your best bet would be the M1950. But personally, I believe the issue type deserves more love. I know it's not as classic of a look, but I think it's underrated. It's how the Army intended the uniform to look, and it fits pretty good. The sizes are forgiving, and I'm a fan. So if you're looking for a reproduction, my money's on the K Canvas cap. Links to all of them will be in the description below. And I just have one little announcement to say. I know I've been making a lot of helmet videos, but this isn't just a helmet channel. It's supposed to be a complete militaria channel from all eras. I know I've been covering just mainly World War II and helmets, but I am a fan of the uniforms. I'm a fan of the other types of headgear and equipment. I just happen to have a lot of helmet projects going on right now that I have to share. So, Simon of Fortune isn't a helmet channel, it's a militaria channel. Make sure you check out the description below for links to all of these caps and a link to our Discord server for the Simon of Fortune channel. That's all I got for today. Have a good rest of your day, soldiers.